she talks about racism. And then to make that comment about Germany.
Hello, here I am. I thought since you seem to be so bent on your opinion, let me come out here and give you some facts, okay? And for all of you that missed it, the lady I stitched another woman's video that said, talked about racism in Germany, racism in Europe generally. And then the lady I stitched her video and said that it's shocking and that it was not all Germans. And here's my point. One, you seem to be an American. You seem to have, from what I saw on your Instagram, I might be wrong, I stand to be corrected. You've never lived in Germany. So I want to know, how dare you open your mouth and tell somebody else that they are wrong when you don't even know if they're wrong or right? Because you have not lived here. You clearly don't even know our history. Because, wait, I said this, and I said it was indeed the whole country, and it still is. And then you said people were imprisoned and or executed for resisting, so it wasn't the whole of the country. And then I said, of course, it is what it is. Point one, those few that were imprisoned or even executed for resisting did not give a chain reaction, because the rest of the country acted in fear and they were like, oh, if this is happening to us, we better be quiet. So what happened from this was a collective enabling of the schmatzis. So this bullshit you're saying here is wrong. I mean, it's technically right because there were some few people that resisted. There were some few people that also tried to rescue and help. There were people that were not officially on his side. But for you to come out and be like, it was just an Austrian and the Schmatzi party, girl, be so for real. Be so fucking for real. How invalidating and ignorant can you be? Because it wasn't just one man from Austria and his little party. This man, as much as you are right, he was Austrian and he came up with the Aryan theory and the whole blonde and blue-eyed bullshit and the whole, everything else that happened. His party was the largest party. What do you guys learn in school? Where the fuck did you get this information from? Because if you knew how bad it was, you wouldn't write this invalidating ignorance as bullshit on your platform publicly for the world to see how uneducated you are about a history you're so loud about. And this concerns me particularly because we have not learned from our past. I live in Germany. I was born and brought up in Germany. We have literally changed absolutely nothing. There is a current party, they're calling themselves AfD, Alternative for Germany, the D being the German word, Deutschland for Germany, that wants to deport German citizenships if they happen to have a migration background. It's very much like the one-drop rule. You are never German enough for these people. Why I said it's a little bit like the one-drop rule is because they are like, oh, even if you have a German citizenship, if your mom or dad or their parents were immigrants, you have no right to call yourself Germans. These people are currently planning on changing our constitution to make that possible. How dare you open your mouth and say it was not the whole country? Do you know this particular party in 2024 got 20% in the eastern part of Germany? This party currently is fighting for power and a say in the eastern part of Germany to be part of the parliament. How dare you? And here's why I told you it's all Germans. And it was all Germans, it still is all Germans, and it will forever be all Germans until we collectively change our society, change our laws, change our ways, change our mindset, and acknowledge our history. Because even that, we don't do that. So you lack a lot of knowledge, respectfully, a lot of knowledge about a topic you are so incredibly loud about. Racism is ingrained in the system of this society, in our educational system, in our currency system. By the way, that's a global issue. In our visa system, in our medical system, in the entire educational system, I said that already. Racism is like the very foundation this country stands on. Oh, well, it is never enough if only few people, very, very few people, stood up against a system that was, that from the beginning, in case you don't know, Hitler wrote a book calling it My Fight. He published his ideas before he was even in power. How do you think Hitler got in power? By the people. Have you ever watched national footage, original footage of Hitler's speeches? You will see that it's the whole country. This man was idealized. He was adored. Germans loved him. They loved the promises he gave them. He loved the success he promised them. And they were very much willing to accept 6 million dead people, Jewish dead people, for that sake. It was every single German. And if you had done some research, you knew that there were reporters back in 2020, 2021, 22. Actually, it has been going on. It has always been a thing that went to places. For example, let's use Dachau, that's close to Munich. They had a concentration camp there where they, massive fucking trigger warning, where they produced soap or lamps out of the body, the skin of Jewish people. They interviewed people because Dachau is like a smaller village, but the population is quite dense around the concentration camps. They interviewed people that were still very much alive to that time as it happened and asked them, why did you never speak up? And do you know what happened? All these people closed their doors in front of the reporter's face. Do you know why? Because they know that they were guilty then and they are still guilty now. There was only one woman that spoke up and said, we had no chance. If you know that this is wrong and you speak up, this will happen to you. So you're very much right in that. But was that enough motivation for the Germans to collectively as a society come together? And I want to preference this very well. If millions of people collectively come together, no government will stand that force. And that's on that. Did we do that? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This did not stop anybody. In fact, it made us more silent and it made us more enabling. And this woman was explaining in the interview how if the wind was blowing in the right direction, they would smell the burning bodies. They would smell and hear people shouting for their lives. Germans knew, and Germans did not give a fuck. And until today, Germans don't give a fuck. That's what it is. Whether you want to believe that or not, I don't fucking care. But stop invalidating a history that you have no in-depth knowledge about, because it's wrong and it's highly invalidating for the people that are, one, living here and have seen it happening and know what is currently happening, and the people that are victims of this society and this system today. Because with all due respect, what you gave in your video is not all white people energy, because you don't want to wear that shoe. You don't want to be put in a box full of racists. You don't want to acknowledge your privilege, maybe. That's an assumption, because everything you said in your video, for me, pointed to the direction it's not all white people. And you're wrong. It's all white people, just like the Sephora case that happened just of recent. These girls were enabled by the public. They were enabled by the public to an extent as Sephora came out with a public statement and lied in our faces with all comfort, because white people enable other white people being racist. It's not enough for you to be on the internet and be like, oh my God, that's so wrong. That's not enough. It was never enough then and it's not enough now. So everything you said in your video, apart from a few points you made here, was utter bullshit and you are wrong. It's either you acknowledge that or you don't. That's up to you, but you're wrong. And by the way, as an adult, if you make a mistake and you're uneducated about the subject, what adults do is they acknowledge it. They make their own research, they educate themselves, and then they shut the fuck up. Because what you are supposed to do is ask questions. What have you ever researched? And I mean that genuinely. My comment section is open, my stitches are open. What have you ever actively researched? How did you get your knowledge about World War II? About the German society, about everything you talked about? Where did that knowledge come from? And if you dare to say American history books, don't even bother commenting, okay?